everybody, and welcome to this E3 2018 Top 10 Most Anticipated video. So in this video I'm going to go through my most anticipated games from E3 2018. You probably guessed that from the title though, right? I think E3 was fantastic this year. We had so many game reveals. Some of them had already kind of been like spoiled a little bit, as in announced early, but a lot of the games we saw just look such a high quality that I personally cannot wait for them to get released. A good chunk of them are coming till next year, but some are not too far away. So as a kind of just a caveat to this, I've only included games in this list which have had gameplay kind of trailers or reveals at the event. So at the time of recording this video, we've not had one for Cyberpunk 2077, although I believe there's been some behind closed door ones, but I haven't seen it. Elder Scrolls 6, Starfield, those types of games which I'm super looking forward to. They would be very high in this list, but I thought I'd keep it to games which we've actually seen running, or a good approximation of what the game will be. It's important to remember that games often change from E3. We've seen that many times, Watch Dogs being the famous example, but you can only assess what is put in front of you, and these 10 games look absolutely fantastic. Some of them have confirmed release dates, some of them are a kind of bit of a, in the distance, but all of them look to be absolutely fantastic. So without further ado, at number 10 we have Rage 2. Now Rage 2 was one of the games which was leaked by Canadian Walmart, as was kind of noted by Pete Hines at the Bethesda conference. What was quite good about that was that it gave me time to jump back into Rage and have a look and kind of remember a little bit about that world. And I remember there was a lot of good things about that game and a lot of bad things about that game. But this Rage 2 looks very, very good. A cross between Doom and Fallout by the looks of it. The kind of gunplay and fast-paced action of something like Doom in a post-apocalyptic wasteland just looks absolutely incredible. The action is really fast-paced. I've been looking for that kind of first-person / RPG kind of shooter, and Rage looks like it is going to have it nailed down. We've got a 2019 release date. However, that kind of surprised me a little bit, but thinking about it, with Fallout 76 coming out in November, it's not surprising that they would delay Rage perhaps till next year. I say delay because from the gameplay trailer we got, it looked like the game was running well. Looked like a lot of it was done, perhaps even more so than Fallout 76, but it certainly looks a very, very good prospect. Graphically it looks nice. Vehicle combat as well is back. We haven't had that many games which have done vehicle combat well, so that will be intriguing. Mad Max being the example that comes to mind, and it did that pretty well, and that was I guess almost a similar style of game, albeit slightly different in third person. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to Rage 2. I'm disappointed it's not coming out this year, absolutely. I'd be more hyped for it then, and I hope it doesn't get lost in the absolute swarm of games coming out in 2019 early on. But it's one to definitely keep an eye on. It just looks over the top good fun. So in at number 9 we have The Last of Us 2. You might be wondering why this is like so high up the list. Well, while I'm a big fan of the first game, for some reason this game isn't filling with me as much hype as I guess some. The trailer reveals that we've seen have looked really good. The animations look great. Obviously very high quality coming from Naughty Dog, but they haven't blown me away, as in I haven't seen anything that's a huge departure from the first game. Obviously we've still got to learn about story, kind of the story and the setting and just everything that's gone on in the world in the years between the first game and this one. We still don't know a lot of what is going on, but I'm excited to, you know, take a look at this game and see it. PlayStation had 4 games at the E3 conference. All 4 of them make this list. They have such high quality first party games, it's utterly ridiculous. The Last of Us 2, it looks brutal, it looks slightly terrifying, and I like the look of it, and I'm very interested to learn more about the game, the story, how the world's changed, if even the world's changed, you know, if it's maybe got worse in the time. So it should be exciting, and I'm actually very pleased that we're getting to play as Ellie in this, you know, a female protagonist. That has almost been somewhat of a theme for this E3. In, you know, games seem to be using a female protagonist, which is great to see. I've spoken about Tomb Raider in the past, but that does a great example of a game which does a kind of female protagonist well, isn't just either a kind of G.I. Jane, kick-ass kind of game, and isn't a kind of damsel in distress kind of game. It just does it very, very well, I think, in a realistic way, and I think The Last of Us will. Although I will say Eddie looks pretty badass. So that's The Last of Us 2, which again is 2019. We all knew that though, and there's plenty of good PlayStation games coming out, you know, over the next sort of few months to keep us going. One of which is our number 8, which is Spiderman. I was a big fan of the early Spider-Man games on the PlayStation 2, I believe. The kind of swinging through the city of New York was so much fun, doing the little kind of side quests. I seem to remember like some pizza delivery side quests, you know, the kind of random encounters, the boss battles, just climbing to the tallest building and jumping off it was so much fun, and I cannot wait for this Spider-Man. I think it's one of the earliest games coming in September on this list, and the combat looks really, really nice, looks very fluid. I've yet to see kind of like how complicated a moveset it's going to be. There looks like there's a lot going on, and the story is intriguing. We saw more in the trailer at E3. Seems to be a kind of prison break. We don't know who the main, like, big bad, as it were, is. So yeah, it's intriguing. The nice thing about the game is it's not an origin story. It is Peter Parker's been Spider-Man for a number of years, and you know, we're jumping in from there. So you know, we're not going to get the same old visit a lab, get bitten by a spider, try to come to terms with powers. Uncle Ben dies. With great power comes great responsibility. You know, we're not going to get that again. We're getting a you know, a mature story, shall we say, and I'm all for that. You know, it's not gone the way of the Marvel films. It's doing its own thing, and it looks great. So very much looking forward to that and getting back into the swing of things. Get it? You see what I did there? Anyway, in at number 7 we have Anthem. The more I say Anthem, the more I like the name. I think it's actually quite a good name. You know, like Destiny. It's just, you know, one word, you know what you're talking about. And Anthem, when it was kind of debuted, was it last E3 I believe, there was a lot of excitement and buzz about this game, but also a lot of disbelief. It was a kind of a, I don't think this is how it's going to look in the end game. I don't know if we're going to be able to do all the features it says. Well, they came to this E3 with gameplay, and by the looks of it, you can do pretty much everything we saw in that trailer. You can fly around like Iron Man, you can go underwater, you can, you know, leap off giant cliffs. It's a beautiful looking world. There's 4 different suits which we can try, all with kind of different skills. It's a kind of a multiplayer and single player world. It's by BioWare, who are one of my favourite developers. Every single thing of that says fantastic game. It's just that EA is the kind of publisher or the parent company, and something doesn't quite sit right with me about that. Something is in the back of my mind, you know, a bit of trepidation. If Anthem was another company, I think it would be higher on this list. But the EA connection worries me, always will do, until we know, you know, for sure and get our hands on the game. Because let's face it, they have not had the greatest track record with a lot of recent games. If you play their sports games, a lot of them are frankly broken. If you played Mass Effect Andromeda, as much as I love the Mass Effect series, that game did not come out in a great state. It since got fixed, but the damage was done at launch. So they've got to come out swinging with this game. You know, people who have been hands-on with the game at E3, and there's been a lot of love for it and a lot of enjoyment. The one thing that worried me in the trailer was that perhaps the combat looked a little slow or a little clunky, but people have said it's pretty tight, so I'm happy with that. We don't know too much about how everything's going to work, the RPG kind of systems, ranking up, leveling, all that type of thing. Even kind of like PvP, they said there wouldn't be PvP at launch, so you know, we'll see how that affects the game. I know a lot of people would love that. So yeah, this is EA's, I guess, wanting to get a slice of the Destiny pie, and you know, if Destiny doesn't get their act together, then they could well get that slice. We'll have to wait and see. They confirmed no loot boxes, although there are microtransactions. Whether it's just cosmetic or it's going to be actual things in game you can buy which give you advantage, I don't think was actually covered. I know they said there was cosmetic stuff, but we'll have to wait and see. As I said, it's EA, it's a worry. We'll have to wait and see how the game comes out, or how it's looking, you know, the state of it on day 1 and on day like 30 and day 100. Games like this live and die by content updates, so a big company like EA should have the resources to keep that going. We'll have to wait and see, but I'm looking forward to it nonetheless. In at number 6 is Beyond Good and Evil 2. Beyond Good and Evil 2 is a game which kind of first came to my attention. Obviously last E3 we saw an absolutely fantastic looking trailer. I'd never played the first game. I actually own it because I think you get it free when you get Uplay. But I know it's beloved by a lot of people out there. This game looks incredible. What worries me is how much of that is going to translate. How ambitious a project is this going to be? Now, don't get me wrong, Ubisoft have big resources and they've done big ambitious games, but this looks like it could be another level of ambition. We saw some gameplay footage. It was quite early though, but we did see some. You can tell it was pretty early as well, to be fair, but there seems to be kind of like flying around in smaller ships. There's obviously kind of third-person combat. We'll have to wait and see exactly what's involved. They're claiming a lot of things, and I think at this minute I'm kind of like, well, you know, take your time obviously how it goes. We don't have a release date for the game. Could be, I mean, I doubt it's 2019 personally. I think it's going to be 2020 and perhaps even further that's going to get pushed. But the engine they're using looks fantastic and I'm very excited to see more of this game. I have a feeling it could be one we see for the next couple of E3s though before it actually gets released, but as long as it's good, they can take their time. I'm happy with that. So in at number 5 we have Ghost of Tsushima. This game caught me by surprise. I'd heard of it but never really knew too much about it. It's by the guys who did Infamous, and I loved that game. I thought it was great. But this feels very, very different. Samurai Witcher 3 is what people are calling it. Visually stunning. Combat looks pretty cool. Lots of things going on. I love the kind of boss battle you get to with the leaves falling, and it just seems really good. Feels like a very dark, kind of moody, gritty game, and I'm all for that. I love that style of game, and this is 100% on my radar. Again, I'm not sure when this one's coming out, and again, take your time. Another PlayStation exclusive that looks fantastic. You know, the 4 on this list are just, you know, really, really good, and if you haven't got a PlayStation 4, any one of these games is a good reason to go out and get one, so bear that in mind, I'd say. But yeah, it looks really good. I hope we see more of the game coming through, you know, if there's like these kind of RPG mechanics, if there's kind of like an upgrade weapon systems, different weapons, you know, we'll have to wait and see, won't we? The kind of look of the riding a horse through the fields, very reminiscent of Breath of the Wild for me, but in a kind of darker, grittier kind of way, and I'm a big fan of that. So yeah, can't wait to see more of Ghost of Tsushima. In at number 4 we have Fallout 76. Fallout 76, I'm going to do an entire video separately on this because this is probably the most, or one of the most interesting games on this list, because it feels like a big departure from the stock or the core Fallout experience. Now, people have been concerned, I wouldn't go as far as to say freaking out, but concerned that the online components of the game will perhaps ruin their experiences. I would say that from what we've heard from Bethesda, from Todd Howard and Pete Hines, and what we've seen in the kind of behind the scenes documentary by NoClip, which if you haven't seen, I highly recommend it. It is brilliant and dispels a lot of the issues I had with the game to begin with. If you see that, then I think you realise that Bethesda are aware of people's concerns. They knew what was coming, you know, and I think they did a very good job of presenting it at E3. We obviously got quite a lot of look at the gameplay side of things. You know, we know where it's set. There's lots of differences in this to kind of Fallout 4 or Fallout 3 or New Vegas, but let's remind people that there was this same kind of fuss when Fallout went from being the kind of isometric CRPG style to the first person of Fallout 3. Now admittedly it was different companies who did that, but you know, a lot of people who love Fallout 1 and 2 were really worried about what Bethesda were going to do with Fallout 3, and they've done a pretty good job. So I think we have to trust Bethesda on this one. Bethesda Game Studios anyway, rarely put a foot wrong. You know, they're very committed to the brands and they don't want to, you know, and I think they're very aware of the fan base they have, which has essentially, you know, enabled them to, you know, build into this massive company that they are today. So I feel that I'm very positive about the game, very, very positive. And I'm not the sort of person who I prefer a single player experience on general, but I'll do a separate video about my thoughts of everything we know so far and the online components, and just chat about how I think Fallout 76 is going to look, and why I don't think people should be as worried as they are. But this one's coming out in November, so not too far away. It's looks really nice, obviously running on a kind of souped up version of the Fallout 4 engine. I like the Fallout 4 engine personally. People have asked about VATS. It seems like that's going to be in it, but just work in a slightly different way. There's some nice kind of like little base building type things. There's lots of quests and things to go on, and a huge, huge area to explore, 4 times the size of Fallout 4. So you're very excited to jump into that world and see what's going on. And as soon as they get their private servers up and running, I will 100% be having one of those, and we'll have to get a kind of Discord group going and get people involved in that, because I think that would be a lot of fun, seeing as you can have up to about 30 people on a server. Sounds good to me. In at number 3 we have The Division 2. So we knew Division 2 was coming already. We had seen bits of it coming into E3. Ubisoft had already kind of announced it a while back, actually, to be fair, and it's no surprise because The Division 1 sold fantastically well. It came out in a little bit of a rough state. I can forgive that because it was an ambitious game, to say the very least, but people often praise the turnaround of the game, the fact that they've listened to the community a lot and built a very, very good, robust third-person cover shooter. The thing I loved about The Division 2 was the atmosphere more than anything. The kind of deserted streets of New York was so good to just kind of run around in, and just it really helped immerse yourself in this world of what happened after the virus hit. The story was a little bit higgledy-piggledy, a little bit hit and miss in some places. Overall, I liked it a lot. And the bullet sponginess of the kind of enemies, did annoy people, but it's difficult to find a way to not do that, if that makes sense. So we'll have to kind of see how that they develop that in The Division 2. I still think people will be very bullet spongy coming from the gameplay, but again, it doesn't worry me too much about that. We're going to Washington DC this time. Looks like it's a little bit further advanced than The Division 1 was, and in terms of it looks post-apocalyptic, not just deserted, but there's like little colonies which have sprouted up, which are trying to survive, and it seems pretty interesting. There's new skills available, obviously. I guess there would be. I don't know if you're going to have a kind of central hub in the same way you did in Division 1, which you go back to, or whether it's more on the move. We'll have to wait and see, but the gameplay footage I saw looked really good, looked really solid. Ubisoft love to do this kind of fake, like, gamer talk over their gameplay footage, and it was certainly a lot less cringy than it was for the Division 1, I will say that much, but perhaps not entirely accurate. Not enough swearing, to be honest, is there? But certainly this is a must-buy for me, I think, and it's coming out in 2019, obviously, but I cannot wait to get my hands on it and find out more, see what they're doing with the story, see what they're doing with the kind of loot drops. We've got new weapons, we see a grenade launcher, a crossbow. I'm all aboard. I'm totally aboard the Division 2 hype train with this one. In at number 2 we have Assassin's Creed Odyssey. So, hot on the heels of Assassin's Creed Origin comes Odyssey, set in ancient Greece this time, so not too far away from Origins. We have a story of I think they're a brother and sister, but you get to choose one or the other. I mean, it's good that you have that choice for once. Kind of had it in Syndicate, but not really. And both the protagonists look interesting. We're seeing extra things put into Odyssey over Origins, like a dialogue wheel to get to choose dialogues, which will have consequences. Even romance options as well, which is pretty cool. Assassin's Creed looks like it's going full RPG, doesn't it? It kind of worries me because I liked the kind of direction it had going for itself with the kind of stealth action, but I guess they need to do a change, and they have done. They've said it's not going to be an annual thing. It could be that we just get Origins and Odyssey, then we get a break again and something different. I mean, clearly Odyssey's using the Origins engine, but it does look a very different game. Whereas Origins had obviously a lot of desert in it, being that it was in Egypt. We're now seeing a bit more of a lush, kind of greener area. I called it the kind of blood and wine to, you know, or the Toussaint to Velen, to use a Witcher 3 analogy. And, you know, after playing, you know, 40 hours of Origins, I think it's going to be cool to jump into a different world, to find out what the story's about. I believe it's set before Origins, so is it, or it might be set after? I'm not too sure, to be completely honest with you. But it doesn't. They seem to kind of be getting away from just this complete kind of staple kind of. I don't know. I mean, it'll be interesting. Are we going to see, you know, the Templars? I mean, I guess you have to in there, but are they going to do maybe something a little bit different with it? We'll have to kind of wait and see. And they did support Origins pretty well after launch as well, so we'll have to see. October 2018, so very, very close, which I think amps my anticipation for it. I can't wait to kind of get back into that sort of world and explore more and find out what's going on, and, you know, keep shouting "This is Sparta" every time I kick someone off a cliff. That's clearly what I'm going to be doing from day one. So yeah, number 2, Assassin's Creed Odyssey. In at number 1 we have Death Stranding. I cannot tell you how much I am looking forward to this game. Of all the games here, I've watched the trailer for Death Stranding a dozen times at least, trying to glean any information I can get off of it. I've been watching videos which are trying to kind of break down information about it. Hideo Kojima is, like, the word genius is thrown around a lot, like, but there are icons in this industry who are pushing forward or pushing against the boundaries every single game they do. You know, Todd Howard is a great example of that, but Hideo Kojima is such a, like, savant. It's unreal. He is such a creative force in video games, pushing the boundaries of what you do and what a video game, you know, the stories it can tell and the way it tells them as well. I mean, you can tell he's a big movie fan because his trailers, his cutscenes are so well done. They are, if the guy ever made a film, I swear it would be a top 10 blockbuster, because he just knows how to get those shots. He knows how to pair music in games. He just knows everything. He knows how to set a scene. And Death Stranding, while we know not very much about this game still, it is hotting up. We saw some gameplay footage of Sam, who's played by Norman Reedus, making his deliveries. The game world just looks absolutely stunning. We still don't know kind of how big it's going to be, or, you know, how far he's doing those deliveries, or, you know, what the dangers are doing those. We don't know much about the enemies in the game. you know, if you go back to that kind of first trailer with the kind of like almost World War II Death Army kind of looking with Guillermo del Toro there, it's pretty scary. The babies are weird. There's a thought, I was watching a video today, and there's a thought that the babies are like an insurance policy, so, and I can almost see this, so we know that the kind of the monsters or the ghost or the spirits or whatever they are, they seem to fast forward time. We saw that in a trailer before where a guy was kind of like aged to death almost, and people were kind of thinking that the babies are clones, and that's how you respawn. The baby grows up to be you. It's, if you go back and watch the trailers, a lot of that makes sense, but Kojima is crazy in that sense, and you just don't know what's going to go on. Metal Gear Solid 5 was a fantastic game. I loved it to death because it had this crazy wild story, these amazing cutscenes, but then at its heart it was a damn good video game. You know, it was very satisfying in everything it did, and that, I think, is a difference between Kojima and a lot of other people, is the fact that he can make just a damn good video game, but this story and this style that he puts into it is just something else. I hope he hasn't gone too far off the rails, shall we say, and just lost the plot, you know, with the money that Sony's obviously chucking at him. But I think he realises that this is an important game. This game could define him. Otherwise he's just going to be known as the Metal Gear guy, which is not a bad thing to be known as, but this is his chance to strike out, I think, on his own, and show people what he can do and why he, I think, is one of the greatest ever game designers out there. What I love about Death Stranding and why it's number one is because I feel like it's pushing the boundaries constantly. A lot of these other games, we kind of know what they're going to do and how they're going to work. We know about The Division, we know about Assassin's Creed, Anthem, Spiderman. We know the gameplay of that, what the game is going to involve, pretty much what the story is kind of going to work around. There'll always be twists and turns and little things which will surprise us, but Death Stranding for me just feels like it is right at the edge, you know, that blurred edge between, you know, art and video games and films, and it's pushing that boundary forward. And you know, there are some game designers who will do that and it won't work. You know, Peter Molyneux is one who always had those lofty ambitions but couldn't actually, you know, when it came down to it, put that into a game. There are other, you know, designers. If you look at, say, Nintendo, they don't necessarily revolutionise video games, but they do evolve them over time. They're still making the same games they were making 10, 15, 20 years ago, but they just tweak and evolve and just keep pushing them forward. But Kojima, I feel like he comes out and he just rips up the rulebook. People turn around and go, no, you can't do that in a video game, and he's like, yes, you can. You know, you go hide in the toilet in Metal Gear Solid, a guard's coming up, don't worry, just play a tape recording of someone doing a poo and then they'll walk on by. I mean, you know, genius stuff. But seriously, I am so hyped about Death Stranding. It could come out and it could be a total flop. Like, there are games on this list which I know are going to be great games. I'm sure of it, you know, are going to be like 9 or 10 out of 10s on here. And Death Stranding, I don't know, but that's almost why it's so exciting, because I just don't know at the minute. But everything I've seen is just incredible, and the kind of actors he's got in it, the talent is blowing my mind as well. You know, we've seen Guillermo del Toro, Mads Mikkelsen, Norman Reedus, Lea Seydoux was in this trailer, Laura Wagner. Like, there's a lot of really good actors and actresses in this video game. It's got a lot to live up to. There will be a lot of hype, and ultimately, as we know, it's got to be a game, and its core, but I think he can pull it off. He's just about crazy enough that he can pull this off. So yeah, Death Stranding number 1. So that is my most anticipated games from E3 2018. Let me know in the comment section what you guys are looking forward to. You know, what I've missed out. You know, bearing in mind that obviously Elder Scrolls, Cyberpunk, Starfield would be right up there, but we just don't know enough about them yet, or we haven't seen gameplay footage yet to kind of put it right up there. If these 10 games kind of live up to, you know, half the hype surrounding them, we are just a lucky bunch of gamers. It's important to remember that while not every game on this list might be for you, you might not be looking forward to some of them. There's plenty of others out there which are, you know, looking fantastic. You know, games like Super Smash Bros. Ultimate I didn't even put on here, but clearly I'm going to play that and look forward to it. It's just I kind of know exactly what that's going to be right now, so I'm not really anticipating it. I'm just waiting for it. There's a difference. So yeah, but I'm super stoked, super excited. You can look out for more videos, obviously closer to the times about these games, and obviously I'm pretty sure I'm going to play all of these games on the channel unless, you know, disaster happens with them. I'm not a big fan of pre-ordering games. I generally don't do that until reviews come out, so you know, hopefully these games will live up to the hype, or at least, as I said, if they live up to half the hype, then we're in for a good time. This is a golden age of gaming, in my opinion, as developers are unlocking the full potential of the PlayStation and Xbox, and you know, we're really seeing some quality here. So yeah, and by the way, things like Red Dead I'm obviously looking forward to, but it wasn't at E3, so it's not on this list. I could go on. If there's a game on here that I missed that you're looking forward to, let me know by all means. But till next time guys, thank you so much for watching. As ever, consider subscribing if you want to see more videos, and I'll catch you guys in the future. Bye bye.